Bonjour! This is the first of our Paris menswear reviews. Very excited. As usual, Paris kind of kicks off in full steam ahead with Off-White, which is why I'm waving this little ticket here. Before I start, I'm joined by the brilliant Highsnobiety Christopher Morency, so thanks so much for coming in the car again.
What's up, guys?
I've got like various props and stuff with me. So Off-White invites always this little printed square, usually a kind of art piece or face or pattern, this time plastic, quite intense. And as we walk into the space, the whole room is filled with white carnations. I picked one just for this moment. And there's kind of props of a little ice man. I think he was ice.
He looked like a Pokemon.
He looked like a Pokemon. A little ice man standing amongst the flowers. And as the show begins, I believe it was Greta Thunberg's voice, who is the 15-year-old Swedish environmentalist and activist. So already we're getting a tone of kind of political comment, commenting on the environment, plastic, flowers, there's a lot of bird song as well in the music overhead. So really starting to think that this is a comment on our impact on the environment and kind of bringing things back to nature. What follows starts off, the first few looks I wasn't particularly enamoured with. There's kind of nylon plastic waterproofs and printed in the kind of the typical Off-White stylings. With some flashes of neon orange colour swirled underneath the layers. But what follows after that I actually think is one of the strongest Off-White collections for a while. There was a real kind of Scandinavian, Icelandic theme throughout the collection in icy blues, kind of water droplet motifs, a lot of kind of icy movementy motifs, and everything had this slight outerwear nature aesthetic. So trainers are slightly more cross-terrain with a slightly more rugged sole. There's a lot more chop and changing of parkas. Even puffers have adjustable trails off them, and those are in this icy blue, but everything feels slightly more refined and succinct, and I think that is in part due to Virgil's placement at Louis Vuitton. It feels like the two worlds are slightly coming together a little bit, and we're starting to familiarise ourselves with this Virgil aesthetic. A key example of this is the suiting. It was in a similar pastel tones to kind of Virgil's earlier collections with Louis Vuitton, maybe the first one, the Rainbow collection, that those kind of soft greeny pastel tones, but the suiting, which I thought was brilliant, was much boxier, and I think that's brilliant because it caters towards this younger Off-White market rather than the beautiful slimline tailoring we get with Louis Vuitton. This is much boxier and really obvious darting, and with Off-White kind of stitched in gently all over in the same tone as the suit as well, which is really important, so it's not too logomania. There's also a few kind of safety pins and recycling motifs on each of those suitings and on the kind of chest darting as well, which I thought was really brilliant. Some other really strong pieces were the slightly GmbH tight vests and trousers. You were saying this before we started rolling. Slightly GmbH tight trousers, and also the jeans, which have the stitching, so you can see it, but it's lots and lots of layers of stitching in the jacket as well. So I actually thought this was really brilliant. The women's wear at the end, where Gigi comes out in lots of painted graffiti styles, is where I got lost again, but this middle section of really beautiful kind of, I'm going to label it as like Icelandic outerwear, I thought was really strong.
Yeah, the Futura stuff, that was the stuff that Gigi came out with. That was really strong. He was there as well doing a lot of interviews backstage. Very generous with his time. Yeah, I have a few thoughts. First of all, I like what you said about it kind of cross-pollinating between what he does at Vuitton and at Off-White. I think for the first couple of seasons, Virgil was really about trying to create a portfolio for himself and what does Off-White mean in today's world. And then with Vuitton, he tried to do the same. This was the first time I actually saw the two of them coming together, with the crystals on some of the shirts, including artworks. Futura actually did live gravity at the last Vuitton show 6 months ago in January in Paris, and it was nice to see him be included in this thing again. I did have to say, I think if plastic was a theme and you want to talk about being more environmentally conscious with Greta at the beginning, if that was the case, then he could have made more of an impact in terms of, I don't know if it would have been activation or working with someone from that community. I just feel it fell a bit short, and he speaks to so many people nowadays. Like I speak to a lot of buyers, and every buyer tells me the best things that sell are Gucci and Off-White for them, especially for the younger demographic. And I think if these kids are actually investing a lot of money into your clothing, and they're investing a lot of time into following you on your Instagram and your inner circle, there's a lot you can say with that voice. And I feel like Virgil tries to do it at Vuitton.
Yeah.
I think he could do that more at Off-White. So that was kind of a bit disappointing for me. But
It's particularly interesting if you've got this younger demographic. There's some young brains you could be moulding into
yes,
environmentalists,
yes.
and also if you've got a plastic invite.
I mean, I hope it's recycled,
Do
but
we know
we'll
if
have to
this
see.
is recyclable? I don't know. But yeah, I totally agree. What did you think of kind of the footwear, the sandals? Because I think that was quite a different move for Off-White, and I'm not sure if it is still one of the best-selling brands. This was for me quite different for Off-White.
I couldn't see, to be honest. I was a bit further back, so I couldn't see the photo. Was it with Nike again?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I mean those always do well.
Yeah.
He's done the past season. He did like the Trek shoes when he had for the women's show. He had was it Dina Escher-Smith that walked the show and a few other female athletes. That was very, very sports heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But the shoes always do well. The people never get tired of those, at least on the shopping floors.
I thought the shoes were really good, but I'm interested in this kind of new aesthetic because it does feel different for Off-White. And mentioning that collection with the athletes and thinking about the kind of Simpsons collection, which I think was the first one he did once he joined Louis Vuitton. And back then it was very much about separating the two, and that was kind of Off-White is this young kind of pop culture referencing, brilliantly wonderful brand, and Louis Vuitton is forever a high fashion luxury travel wear brand. But now it feels like, as we were saying, now it feels like the two are merging together. But how is this gonna? I'm interested to talk about how this is going to affect the customer because, as you say, it's one of the best selling, but this aesthetically was quite different. It
was different. You know, what Virgil always says, not always, he once said that Off-White is for his 15-year-old self, whereas Vuitton is for his current self.
Yeah.
So the man who he is today and has become over the years, you know, he grows up with Off-White but ends up with Vuitton essentially. And what I liked what he does at Vuitton recently, he created, I think, a Staples collection, and he's going to do more for that for the upcoming show, I've heard. So it's really about what is the Vuitton codes under Virgil. And I thought that's what he did today with Off-White.
Yeah.
You really see specific items like the knitwear, which was great.
The knitwear was brilliant.
The trousers, the suiting, the artist collaborations that we see with Kim Jones at Dior a lot as well. He's really trying to craft an aesthetic for himself, whereas, like I mentioned earlier, the first few years were more for experimentation, kind of saying this is who I want to be, this is who I can be, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And it felt more stripped back as well.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
I think honestly that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah.
I do miss the slight kind of, there's always like a comedic, like cartoonish twist to Off-White that I think I miss, but I guess now this is slightly more mature and it's bringing in those artistic cultural references and actual like societal cultural references rather than pop.
I mean, the only thing I wasn't blown away with was the show itself. I think when you go, I mean, of course there are way bigger budgets behind Vuitton, Dior, etc. But you go to some shows even for emerging designers and like the casting is so on point, and the set design is on point, and the music's on point, and the clothing itself is on point. And this, compared to last season, which was in that massive green room that they did projections around, and you had people, some rappers were walking the show. I think it was Playboi Carti. I was one of the Migos members. That just feels so in tune with culture, and that's everything he stands for, the way he communicates, the way that he interacts with people, including them into his community. This just felt like another show, any other show, to be honest.
Scandal. I thought it was really brilliant, but I don't know if it's because I necessarily connect with exactly what you just described.
Culture,
and so I think for me, just on a fashion standpoint, this was really, really brilliant.
I mean, it's gonna sell.
It's gonna sell.
He always sells. He's built such a good hype around himself that it's definitely gonna sell.
But this was less hypey.
It was less hypey, but I think it will be translated into more commercial pieces.
Yeah.
You saw one of those big cape ponchos. Shout out to ponchos, by the way, which are definitely going to have a moment this season. We'll see if people on the streets adopt them, though. But he did this big poncho artwork made by Futura, and I saw the same at Sterling Ruby. That Sterling Ruby made this big poncho at Pitti when we were there.
And he was actually there at the show.
He was there at the... I mean, let's talk about the people at the show. That's just culture in itself.
Yes.
You had... Who was there? You had Ben Gorham from Byredo. Then you had Sterling Ruby was there. You had Jay Belvin, Sita Abalon, Hearn Preston, Samuel Ross.
It's always a crazy star-studded.
I saw a seat for Frank Ocean, but I don't know if he showed up in the end.
Oh my god. Amazing. But I mean, that's kind of credit to Virgil because he brings in all these amazing people. He's got such a crowd around him.
He has the following,
He's got the following. So I'm really, really interested to see the feedback on this collection and whether people take it at face value or get excited by the hype. So a bit of a mixed bag there, to tit for tat. I like that. Good conversation. Thank you so much, Chris.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with all of our Paris live reviews. Lots more to come. See you very soon.